Christine talked about my looking at Acts 20:24 and the tug of war. And I guess I can just start out by saying that I'm glad this is a tug of war I lost because God pulled me back in after I had spent many years off the path, I guess. And when people talk about they strayed, like most of you, I went to church when I was young. I mostly went because it was fun, because all my friends went to church, and my parents made me go to church. So the trifecta there. So it was, and so church worked for me for a long period of time. But I started feeling the pull of the world, basically. There was a period of time, and this story is probably so banal and stuff like that. Everyone's probably experienced it, but all I can do is just tell mine. And I started feeling that pull of the world. Thought it was better to be cool than to go to church. Started spending my offering money on candy and cigarettes instead of putting it in the plate. Thought it was easier. I used to envy the guys who used to be out in the streets playing ball 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning instead of me stuck in the house doing math and physics and reading and stuff like that. And that pull got stronger and stronger, and I went into the world. And, I thought I was having a good time. I thought it was where I needed to be. But something was missing. And that was, I lost my capacity to love. The world will give you a lot of different things, nice clothes, full social life, lots of material things, lots of praise and all, but at the same time I found myself shutting down, turning off, unplugging from the things that really mattered. And I want to say today that love captured me. Love crept back into my life through several different events, and they're totally unrelated, but they woke me up and it made me realize that I had put on the wrong armor. Basically, you always hear about the armor of God. I had put on the cloak of the world. And one was a friend of mine, very good friend of mine, went through an incredible period of crisis through an illness in her family, and I watched her struggle with that. I watched her work with that situation, and I watched her strength and her courage come out through that period of time, and that inspired me. And I thought to myself, well, how did she get through that? And I realized it was through love. Also, my mom and my older sister passed away within 9 months of each other of cancer. The Queen always talks about her annus horribilis, that year of horrible. Well, that was 2 years. She ain't got nothing on what we went through in our family. But what I realized from watching my mom and my sister's final days was that the world has nothing to provide for them. It was the love of family, the love of self, and the joy and heading to a new home. And in our tradition, that's what we call funerals. We call it homegoing ceremonies, because we're going home. Out of those experiences, I realized I had been missing something. So I decided to take off the cloak, turn the cloak back in, get out of that social world, and put on the armor of God, the one that He had set aside for me all these years that I ignored. And that armor is joy, that armor is commitment, that armor is compassion, that armor is life. Instead of my mornings being full of grumbling and complaining and envy and anxiety, all of a sudden my mornings became, I woke up every morning and said, what good can I do today? And that's what the armor of God does for you. It takes you from within yourself and puts you out into the world of serving others. So anyway, I'm glad that I've had this opportunity to meet this family here at Canadian Memorial, to join this church, to tell my friend who went through that courageous struggle how important her journey and how important she was to me and how inspirational she was to me. That was something I wouldn't have done before in my cool stage. But I'm glad I was able to do it, and I'm glad now that I have the health and strength to get up every morning and say, what good can I do today? That's all I have to say. But I want you to pray for me, and I want you to continue to support me in your prayers, that I continue to strive to be a good man, that I continue to keep the faith and to stay on the road, and when I get knocked down, to get back up one more time. And that's all I got to say.